He doesn't take unnecessary risks. No flashy tackles. At first glance, Dean Huijsen looks like just another center back. Tall, calm, technical. But that's where the illusion begins. Because while everyone's watching Jude Bellingham, Vinícius Jr, and Lamine Yamal, no one is paying attention to the player pulling the strings from the back. Huijsen doesn't just defend, he dictates the rhythm. He's not a wall, he's a gateway. And right now, he's breaking more lines than any midfielder in Real Madrid's squad. Modern football created a habit, expecting brilliance to come from the front. But what if the brain of the team is actually in the back line? When a young talent has the world at his feet, the most common move is to play it safe, the traditional path, the comfortable structure. But Dean Huijsen isn't common, and never was. In 2021, at just 16 years old, Dean Huijsen faced two possibilities. On one side, a return to Spain, where he grew up, with an offer from Real Madrid. On the other, a new challenge in Italy, with Juventus. He chose the latter. It wasn't the easiest choice, nor the most comfortable, but it was the one that demanded more. And for him, that's always been part of the process. At Juventus, a club known for tactical discipline and rigorous defensive development, Dean progressed quickly. He started with the youth teams, moved up to the U19s, and soon after, he was already part of the senior squad. In one of his first full seasons, he scored 6 goals as a defender, something rare in any context. But if there was one moment when Huijsen showed the world what he's capable of, it was in February 2024, playing for Roma against Frosinone. The scene starts with him receiving the ball at the back. He scans the field, carries it forward, beats the first marker, then the second, the third, and then, from outside the box, he strikes.
Huijsen. Still going, Dean Huijsen. This is Huijsen! And it had to be him!
Powerful and precise. A goal that went viral on social media and drew comparisons to names like Sergio Ramos. But the most important thing wasn't the beauty of the play, it was the message. Dean Huijsen doesn't play just to win back possession. He takes part in the build-up. He makes decisions that usually belong to midfielders. And this is no longer a coincidence. And if Roma revealed his offensive side, it was at Bournemouth where he showcased something even rarer. The ability to transform without drawing attention. He arrived quietly, without hype. But when Marco Senesi got injured, Dean stepped in, and the defense changed completely. The team, which had been conceding nearly 2 goals per game, found stability. The backline became more compact, the pressing more coordinated, the mistakes disappeared, and all of that without shouting, without spotlight, just through positioning, awareness, and composure. That's been the pattern of his career. While other 20-year-olds are still trying to find space, Dean is already redefining what it means to be a modern center back, always choosing the harder path, not out of stubbornness, but ambition. Because for him, growth isn't a choice, it's an obsession. And if up to this point you thought Dean Huijsen's story was about overcoming odds, hold on, because now comes the turning point. The most absurd part isn't his journey, it's the impact he's having right now, on the pitch, with the ball at his feet. Because what seemed like just another promising defender turns out to be something completely different. A silent builder, a disguised architect, a playmaker in a center back's role. Because what looks basic is actually revolutionary. Dean Huijsen leads Real Madrid in one of the most important metrics in modern football: line-breaking passes. That's the kind of pass that unlocks defenses. That takes 2, 3, sometimes 5 opponents out of the play with a single touch. And normally, who does that? The architects of the game: Modrić, Kroos, Bellingham, midfielders. But today, the player who breaks the most lines in Real Madrid's squad is a defender. That's not normal. It's not expected. And that's exactly why it changes everything. Meanwhile, on the other side of La Liga, Lamine Yamal is dazzling the world with tight dribbles, explosiveness, and improvisation. At just 16 years old, he's become the face of Spain's new generation. Headlines, ad campaigns, magazine covers, and Dean, no noise, no media hype, no fireworks. But here's the point. While Yamal decides the game in the final third, Huijsen decides how the game will begin. Yamal breaks defenses with the final touch. Huijsen breaks the structure from the start. Two young players on opposite ends of the pitch with contrasting talents, but equally impactful. The difference? One is in every highlight reel. The other is changing the game without being noticed. But to truly understand what Huijsen is doing, you need to look beyond the basic stats. It's not just about the number of completed passes or accuracy percentages. It's about which pass he chooses and when. Many center backs play with extreme caution. They pass sideways, back to the keeper, and wait for the midfield to solve things. Huijsen chooses passes that carry weight. He takes on the responsibility of breaking a line, even under pressure. Compared to the great center backs of the last 15 years, he stands out for his highly refined technical profile. Rudiger, his current partner at the back, is more physical and direct. He plays with aggression, anticipation, and strength. Van Dijk dominates in duels, but rarely carries or breaks lines consistently. Piqué, on the other hand, was more positional, but didn't often take vertical risks in the build-up. Huijsen blends characteristics from all of them, but with a much stronger focus on game progression. He plays like a deep-lying midfielder, with timing, distribution, and patience. His game at times echoes the precision of Busquets with the ball and the calmness of Chiellini without it. Except, he's only 20. This kind of vision isn't something you train in a couple of years. It's rare game intelligence, the kind of player who seems to see the pitch in slow motion. And it was exactly that kind of intelligence that Real Madrid needed in a moment of uncertainty. Dean Huijsen arrived at Real Madrid amidst chaos. The club's backline was coming off a season full of improvisation. Alaba injured, Militao out for almost the entire year, Rudiger overwhelmed. What used to be a stable sector had turned into a roulette, and Real Madrid needed more than just a center back. They needed structure. But what happened in his first matches went beyond that, because Huijsen didn't just fill a gap, he changed the way the team plays out from the back. In the Club World Cup semi-final against Al Hilal, he completed more passes than any other player on the pitch. Against Pachuca, he did it again. 81 passes, 93% accuracy, and he started the play that led to the third goal. In just 2 matches, Huijsen broke the opponent's defensive line 31 times. Of those, 11 went directly into the final third. These are passes that bypass the first and second defensive lines, putting Real Madrid's attackers in advantage right from the back. To understand the scale of what Huijsen did in those 2 Club World Cup games, we gathered all the main passing metrics, and in every one of them, Dean was on top, outperforming even midfielders and fullbacks who are, in theory, supposed to carry that responsibility. Check the numbers. Passes attempted, 141, more than any other player, including Fran Garcia, with 118. Completed passes, 124. Fran Garcia had 105. Long passes attempted, 17. More than Courtois, who attempted 12. Accurate long passes, 8. Courtois completed 7. Passes into the final third, 20. More than Fede Valverde with 13. Progressive passes, 23. Against Fran Garcia's 14. Successful progressive passes, 15. More than Bellingham and Fran Garcia, both with 9. Vertical passes, 60. Outperforming even Tchouaméni with 54. And this reshapes Xabi Alonso's structure. The system he wants to implement is clear. A team that controls the rhythm from the back, that progresses with composure and dominates possession. With Huijsen, the ball no longer needs to pass through 3 sectors before reaching the attack. It leaves the defense clean, already threatening the goal. Rudiger, beside him, works as a complement. Aggressive, explosive, an action-driven center back. Huijsen is the opposite. Positioning, reading, cadence. While one closes space, the other opens it with a pass. This partnership creates a new logic at Real Madrid. Instead of waiting for the game to unfold and reacting, the team begins building with intent from the first touch. With Huijsen, Real Madrid doesn't just gain stability. He reorganizes the team's play. He allows the fullbacks to push higher with more confidence. He reduces the need for a deep-lying defensive midfielder. He gives the midfielders time to position themselves more freely. It's the domino effect of a player who thinks 1 second ahead of everyone else. Up to this point, everything Dean Huijsen has shown would already be enough to justify Real Madrid's bet on him. A 20-year-old center back who organizes the build-up, breaks lines naturally, and doesn't feel the pressure of playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. But there's one important detail most people are missing. He's still playing with restraints. In these early matches, Huijsen has been inserted into contained systems focused on security. Little freedom to push forward, few combinations, strong emphasis on structure. He doesn't have a blank check to roam freely. Not yet. He's not the centerpiece of the plan. He's still a cog in the machine, and even so, he's already leading the team in progressive passes. Even so, he already connects defense and attack more fluidly than any other defender in the squad. So, the inevitable question is, what happens when those restraints are removed? When Xabi Alonso gives him more freedom to carry the ball forward? When chemistry with Valverde and Bellingham allows for short passing combinations? When he has the timing to push up and switch play? When the system is built with him at the center, not just around him? In that scenario, Dean could evolve into something modern football hasn't yet named. A center back with a midfielder's control, a playmaker's vision, and the composure of a last man. Someone who doesn't just prevent goals, but initiates victories. Because if today he already anticipates, distributes, and builds, with more freedom, he could do even more. He could be the Busquets of the backline, the player who sees the game before everyone else and changes its direction with a single touch. Now imagine this scenario. A 21-year-old center back who organizes the build-up, breaks lines, anticipates plays, and still has room to grow technically. What happens when other clubs start looking for the next Huijsen? When defenders are chosen not just for strength and jumping ability, but for vision and distribution? It might sound like an exaggeration, but this kind of player changes how academies are built. Huijsen could become the reference for a new model. The center back who thinks like a midfielder but positions himself like the last man. This isn't just evolution. It's a silent revolution. Football is always searching for the next big thing. The clinical striker, the cerebral midfielder. But maybe the most important player of the new era is the one the world hasn't learned to value yet. Dean Huijsen is proving that a game-changing pass can be born at the back.